How's my video streaming, by the way? I'm just curious because I haven't. This is a new computer.
It's beautiful. It is really beautiful.
That's good. I'm on Ethernet and everything, like plugged right into the computer, so this should be good.
All right, 3, 2, 1. What is up, everybody? It is Monday, March 3rd. For those of you that do not know, March is my favorite month. And the reason is because March Madness, and March Madness is like a big reason for that, and everything in Tennessee starts getting like greener.
We're giving away iPads, man. Come on. It's already got to be the favorite month ever.
Yes.
It's snowy in Kansas, man. I'm sick of this Game of Thrones ass winter, dude. It sucks.
Well, it's icy in Tennessee, but it'll get better. It'll get better. Nothing can quench the thirst that I have for the month of March. I don't even think that made sense. But anyways, welcome to FantasyInsiders.com, the Insiders TV daily fantasy NBA show. I'm your host, Soccer Dave. Joining me on this wonderful Monday slate. I mean, there's like 8 or 9 games tonight. Joining me, Grant Girton, CEO of Fanium and Fantasy Elite, and Davis Maddock, the guy who writes the Daily Fantasy Pulse, and just an overall troublemaker. That's what Davis is. Davis, you were like in rare form, not really rare form, normal form last week.
Yeah.
Have you had your Starbucks today? Yes or no?
No, I didn't sleep last night.
Oh,
like
no.
I just did homework and stuff like all night, so I'm just like kind of running. I got a sugar-free amp right now. So everyone in the chat who's like gonna troll me about how pale I am right now, that's why. It's because I didn't sleep.
Well, are you on spring break?
Nah. No. Yeah, that's gonna be 2 weeks from now.
Oh man, I remember good old spring break days. Those good old days. Grant, you're out in sunny California, so
You can see it in the background.
Yeah.
It's terrible here. Weather's awful.
I feel sorry for you. I really do.
You can see how bad it is behind me. It's just so terrible.
And you've got a new iMac. Like, you look really good. I mean, you do. You look handsome.
Yeah, I'm more in the zone. Like, I don't know where, like, I hate to say it, but I don't know where my productivity was before I got this whole iMac set up. Like, I don't know how I did it on my little laptop. Now I'm, like, getting so much more done than I was before.
Welcome to the iMac Club, my friend. As far as games and news tonight, Davis, I'll let you kind of run with it, because you look like you're ready to go with the Sixers jersey on. I mean,
yeah, dude, I had to wear this. They retired AI's jersey. This is Allen Iverson's jersey.
Yeah. Let's not get into any AI talks tonight. I don't want the show to be tainted by AI talk.
Practice.
We talking about? I think the biggest news though is that Tyreke Evans is permanently in the starting lineup for the New Orleans Pelicans. I love Tyreke. I love his game. I like taking him at the salary that he's at everywhere. He's the same price on DraftKings and FanDuel, I believe. Fareed's playing tonight. Ty Lawson is playing tonight. And then I think like a bunch of Lakers are gonna play that shouldn't be playing.
You think a bunch of Lakers are playing that shouldn't be playing?
I think other than Nash and Kobe, like I think almost everyone is going to be active for the Lakers. Like
Yeah.
They called Xavier Henry back up from the D League yesterday. Now I don't know if he's going to play for sure. I need to go look at that, but I did see that he got called back up. Farmar and Marshall are like killing each other's value, pretty much.
Yeah, the thing about tonight is I feel like they're
Yeah, Xavier Henry will be active.
Unless there's like a wild card thrown out there, I feel like there's not a whole lot of value. Like, we pretty much know everybody. I mean, Joakim Noah, I guess, would be like a huge wild card if something happened to him. But he did come back after yesterday's game. Did say it hurt. So he would be
That was
like
ugly. It looked really bad. During the game, it looked a lot worse than apparently it was, but it looked really bad.
came back and had, I mean,
I played fine.
Triple double.
Crushing it.
And I looked at Davis's teams, and he didn't have Noah anywhere.
More importantly, Jimmer Fredette.
Which of course I did, because I've played Noah like every game that they've been at, like that the Bulls have played, like every day I've played him, and then he just goes off, and I'm like, no, Vucevic, dude.
Well, Vooch wasn't a bad play at all.
No, he wasn't. He was better dollars per point wise, but still, it sucks not getting the exposure. Because like Noah's one of my favorite players. I really like to take him, and I really like to watch. I really like to watch him.
All right. So as far as I agree that Tyreek probably is like the big piece of news. Like he is starting, and even when they were getting like blown out, he was still getting minutes in the fourth on Saturday night. So his job is pretty safe. And we talked about how gross sometimes that shooting guard small forward position is. So his price still hasn't come up. So I definitely think that Reek is in play tonight. As far as like positional value, Grant, where do you see do you see any value plays tonight that can let you? I mean, there's like a bunch of studs tonight with good matchups, but in order to play these studs, you've got to find value somewhere. Are you seeing any value out there?
I think the value is going to come in the Milwaukee-Utah game. I love games like that because they're both bad. So as a result, both teams are probably going to at least play to each other's level because they're on the same level. So I think that Brandon Knight, not that he's a value play, but his salary is pretty reasonable across the board. You could look to go to him. I like to recommend him every week anyway. Had a conversation with Ricky Sanders this morning on Utah point guards. Burks is playing really, really well. And Trey Burke, I think, could actually have a better than average game tonight against Milwaukee also. I think Favors could have a good night against the Bucks. I think that there's a lot of guys in play on both sides. OJ Mayo, where he's really cheap if you want to take a risk. They give him minutes sometimes. He's not. They are paying him $7 million a year. They might want him to play. Utah's the kind of game he can get you 20, 25 fantasy points, and he's really cheap on some places. So there are a lot of options. I'd say that's the game I'd target if I'm looking for value.
Davis?
I actually kind of like some of the reserve guard. I like Mo Williams for value. Mo Williams is a solid value play, and he's small forward eligible, but I like JR versus Detroit as well, just to me. And Dunleavy. Dunleavy has been playing just like a gross amount of minutes. So I like him
real
too.
Good basketball. Like Dunleavy's playing really well.
Yeah, he is. Like I can't at all say that he's not.
Yeah, Heinrich at $3,900 on FanDuel is actually, I hadn't looked at their prices yet today. Heinrich at $300 in FanDuel is viable too. He's playing decent basketball for the Bulls also. This person's been watching. We know it's a back-to-back, but that's pretty cheap. I mean, point guard isn't always the first position you want to look for value, but if you do, that's a guy to look for.
There's Dunleavy's basically chart. You see 25, 38, 31, 38. He had an 18.5 game, but basically, I mean, Davis, you kind of hit it on the head. Like we talk about kind of how gross that position is. I guess he's an option. Dude,
I played Dunleavy those last 3 games. I've played him on FanDuel against New York, against Dallas, and Golden State. I played him.
Yeah,
which coincided with the hot streak on FanDuel.
Just don't know. I think the guys that I would like.
What do you guys think? Because Bazemore's probably not going to get 30 minutes a run tonight with Henry back. What do you guys think about Rodney Stuckey for the same price on FanDuel?
The Knicks played bad yesterday. Like, just saying, like, they were really bad.
Oh, and Shumpert being back did not help the perimeter defense.
It was terrible. They are a really bad basketball team. My God. Like, they almost came back, but they were pretty terrible. I don't know. I don't hate them. I like Josh Smith tonight, too, if we're talking about that game. I do like J.R. Smith against Detroit also. I agree with your earlier point there. I think that J.R. Smith, I think this is the game where J.R. Smith gets a mild bump. He's been hovering around like 20 fantasy points, below 20 fantasy points a game. This is a game I think J.R. Smith could get 30 fantasy points.
I'll take 20 from J.R. Knowing what I know about small forward, I'll take 50 combined points from him and Dunleavy tonight. Like, I'm so okay with that.
They're going to meet value. Lets you go across the board and find other guys. I think JR is pretty safe tonight, though. I think on a non-efficiency site, I think JR is like a pretty safe bet to get the kind of points he needs, along with the upside that he could just start going off against a pretty weak defense.
Yeah, I agree.
I love that play tonight. I'm actually all about it.
JR just is not a fun play for me. Just
not in Draft Street.
What, you don't like to watch him derp around out there, man?
No, I don't.
Oh, it's so he doesn't have a plan, dude. JR just does not have a plan once he gets the basketball. He's like, I'm just gonna dribble and I'm gonna see if I can make some stuff happen.
Someone asked 1,000 watts asks JR over Butler.
No, not at all. But they're not priced the same anywhere except for DraftKings. Butler is a very good value on DraftKings.
Yeah.
Buckets is just tearing it up. He's the all-star that he should be all of a sudden again. Like,
somebody asked about what side JR would be on. Davis, you said FanDuel only. I mean, I think if you want to play him draft day, he is only 8,700 also.
Yeah, that's in play. It's also worth noting that JR is also only 9K on Draft Street, which that sounds really bad, but like I kind of am of the mind that I'm going to be taking Anthony Davis and LaMarcus Aldridge tonight. And so if you want to do that, there's some money to be made taking JR for 9.
All right, so let's talk about this Portland LA game, because you obviously you have LaMarcus, you've got Robin Lopez has been tearing it up. You've got Nick Batum that was flirting with a triple-double.
No, get Batum out of my face.
Yeah, I'm rubbing my Batum all up in your face.
Ugh, I hate Nicholas Batum.
Stop it.
I haven't played him once all year too, except for maybe in an elite draft.
Oh man,
other than elite drafts, I obviously count my app, but like that forces you to play guys that you wouldn't play otherwise because you're in a snake. But if you're in a triple up, like on a certain slate, you could play anybody who's just available. But like
Batum is definitely in play though tonight. Like
this is the sort of game where he should do really well. It's just every time I take him, he doesn't even come close to value. So it's like that's just like a personal thing where like I just hate to take him.
There's certain guys I don't take though. I feel like I'm a really annoying daily fantasy owner in salary cap games because I feel like. And it doesn't actually, it's proven to work for me. There are a lot of guys I take over and over again, and there are a lot of guys I just don't take. I'm not sure why Batum's one of those guys I don't take, but I feel like he's absolutely in play. He's in a good matchup against the Lakers. I always feel the need to note guys that I'm not going to play. Especially after Smizzle went on me and says, like, oh, you're going to play everybody. I just want, like, there are a bunch of guys that I won't play, and I just want to be clear, like, if I'm recommending them, I'm not playing them. So you do it at your own risk. It's a good play, though. Probably.
As far as this Portland game, let's get back on track because I think you've got the whole starting five in play. You do have it is the highest over under of the night, but it also is a double-digit spread, so you've got to be a little careful with that blowout factor. I mean, the game is in Portland, but if I'm playing like. I feel confident about playing. Like, if I had 4 Blazers in my lineup, I'd feel okay. Like 3 or 4 Blazers, I would feel okay because I think that, you take a look at that starting 5 and they're going to get the majority. Like, I don't know. Basically, I'm saying that the Blazers going to be the team that I'm targeting the most tonight, and like looking at draft day, you've got Matthews at 9,300, LaMarcus at only 15,000, Batum at 12.1, and Lopez at 10.4. Like I could see a situation where all 4 of those guys are in my lineup, 4 out of 9, which is a little scary given the blowout factor and the fact that Lillard is not one of those guys. But you look at what Lopez has done. And has another juicy matchup tonight against this Lakers squad. And LaMarcus Aldridge, too. And I think some people might be off of LaMarcus Aldridge because of the injury. So
yeah, he's been bad. Just like straight up been bad.
Yeah. So tonight is when he gets it on track. Lions fan 22 asks if he's on any sort of minutes restriction tonight.
I don't believe so. I haven't read anything about him being on one. It's likely that he's not on any sort of minutes restriction, but it's just like going to be dictated by his conditioning.
Oh, if they're blowing him out, though, if it's an absolute blowout, playing him might not make the most sense in the fourth quarter if they're winning by 20 points, which could be happening.
I am playing him on Draft Street tonight, but not on FanDuel, and yes, on DraftKings.
Yeah, so you...
I think Robin Lopez, though, is a near lock on draft day. Like our sponsor, like a 10K in that matchup with the way he's playing. Like I think he's a near lock. And I'd say that Matthews at 9-ish is a pretty... I mean, I have a hard time going up on draft day paying 15-4 for LaMarcus Aldridge. Just given the other Blazers, I know you say you can feel comfortable getting 4 of those guys in your lineup. I'm just saying, like, given the other guys, I feel like you can roster for cheaper. I'd rather not put all the exposure in the Aldridge bucket. I feel like I can get Lopez at 10K, feel really good. Matthews at 9K and feel really good. There are a lot of the Blazer value on draft day tonight is gorgeous. I mean, even Lillard at 3-1 is also, I think, a really strong play. So I mean, they're giving you a lot of guys. Having Aldridge be the most expensive of those guys, so high margin, I'd rather just go with the other people.
All right.
And hope for the best.
So Steve says blowout will restrict his minutes before his injury does. Yeah,
correct.
If it is a blowout, yeah. The fact the Lakers are healthy, though, does bode well for this game. Like, their bench is deeper. We know that the Portland bench is not all that deep. So...
They'll be out there giving Victor Claver minutes, bro.
Claver, the worst. You have an up and down game, though. So, I mean, you have this game in Brooklyn, the Bulls and Brooklyn game, and you'll probably have the Lakers-Blazers score at the end of 3 quarters the same as what the final score is of this Nets-Bulls game. So... that's kind of how I look at it. I'm not going to avoid the game tonight altogether because of blowout factor. Now, it is an interesting question. You've got Al Jefferson going up against the Heat or LaMarcus going up against the Lakers. Davis, if you had to choose between those two, who would you choose?
Say that again.
Al Jeff versus LaMarcus.
Oh, LaMarcus. Yeah, definitely LaMarcus. Lakers... They just make everyone good. They make everybody good.
Is this like not salary included, just straight up?
This is straight up, yeah. Because I think it's a valid option tonight on some of the sites that offer multi-position eligibility. I'm
gonna say Jefferson. I'm gonna go out on a limb and say Jefferson for. I know Aldridge's matchup is much better. I think Jefferson's probably a bit more expensive, and let's see. I'm looking to try to see. I have draft day right next to me. Why do I not see? Oh, there he is. Jefferson's actually cheaper than Aldridge on 13.7. It just says that they are elite pricing. I'm pretty sure Jefferson's more expensive. Maybe not.
So,
but I like Jefferson better on the whole. I mean, he's going to stay in the game. The Heat. What are they going to put on him? It's going to be Odin or is it going to be Bosch? I mean, either way, someone's got to score for the Bobcats. He'll get rebounds. Like, it's not a great matchup, but he's healthy, playing really good basketball. Aldridge isn't playing great basketball and could wind up on the bench the entire fourth quarter if they're up by a bunch of points. So,
yeah. You see against
I take Jefferson, but
against Miami, you have. Last time he was playing, he had 45 fantasy points. Against Oklahoma City, had 41 and started off really hot yesterday. So they did have. This is only like the 4th game they've played this week, or like in maybe 10 or 11 days. So it's not like the back-to-back is going to hurt him because he did have rest last week. So I think Al Jeff is certainly in play. I like LaMarcus better, but on sites that Jefferson's cheaper than LaMarcus, it's going to be tough. It would be tough to roll out LaMarcus over Al Jeff with the risk. I would like to roll out both, but I mean, I would like to roll out both. I'd like to roll out.
Do you guys like Powell?
Not really.
Really?
I like Melo. I mean, Powell, especially now. Like, we'll pull up his game logs. But
is it just because his usage rate is lower?
Yeah, his usage rate is lower. They're healthier, and he's not getting. Let's see. Before I make any sort of foolish statements, he did get 39 minutes versus Sacramento. But look at what he did. Like, look at his past. like 10 games. I mean, we're talking about mid 30s to upper 30s, and for what his price tag is, it just seems like his ceiling has been a bit limited since like in the past 5 or 6 weeks. So that's why I took him on, what was it, Friday? Yeah, it was Friday, because I took him on DraftKings, and actually in 2 of the 4 entries I decided to do a late swap with Anthony Davis, who's around the same price, and Powell he was sorely disappointing. Davis,
Worst.
You took Anthony Davis on Friday, didn't you? You had a really good lineup a few places, and Anthony Davis wrecked it.
I hit 195 with 4 draft street points at Anthony Davis.
It was a bad night for Anthony Davis. Luckily, I avoided him because I played both he and Blake Griffin the game before, like 3 weeks ago. So I avoided that. I avoided that matchup. But Anthony Davis coming off a pretty, well, I don't know, is like night and day.
Who's worse, Anthony Davis or Doran Lamb? Who's worse?
It's Deron.
Is it really?
Yes, it's Deron.
Whatever. He put up an infinity last night because he played 0 minutes with 0 statistics. Who even is Adonis Thomas? Who is that? Like, has anyone ever seen that person before?
Didn't he used to play for the Bobcats?
I don't know.
I was thinking of the guy who played linebacker for the Ravens, and I think he was really good in like Madden or something. It's Adelius Thomas.
As far as some of these other games, let's talk about the Nuggets T-Wolves game. Ty Lawson, I think, is going to be back tonight. Is he?
He is probable, and he's in play.
He is in play for you.
Yeah, I think so. Super
discounted on Draft Street if you guys play there.
Yeah, as far as the other side with Brewer, there's a little revenge game factor, and K-Love.
Yeah, all the K-Love on FanDuel. All of it.
Yeah, this is going to be a fun game. So it's at Denver, and it minimizes the blowout. We talk about liking to play good teams with good matchups on the road because there's less likely a blowout factor. So K-Love against this interior
But Minnesota defense is not good.
What's that?
Minnesota's not good.
They're good.
No, they're not.
Yeah, they're good.
Not really. They're okay.
Yeah.
They're a mediocre team.
Yeah, they're super meh. They'd be like the 5 seed in the East.
They are 6.5 point favorites on the road. So
I think they'd be the 7th best team. I think that right now, maybe they'd be the 5 seed. I think when the season's over, I think the Nets and the Wizards are still better, but that's not relevant to fantasy points. But I'm just saying.
Listen, with Pekovic back and Kevin Martin back, they're a totally different team. So they're a lot better than without. You're talking about 2 guys. That's a big part of what they do. So I think when healthy, they're a good team. They have a good starting 5.
I think the question for this game is Mozgov in play for 4.2 on FanDuel?
No, do not get Mozgov tonight. Do not.
Why do you say that? I would like to play him on FanDuel because it opens up you can do a lot. He's in my lineup right now.
So looking at JJ Hickson, he did get 30. He got 30 minutes last game.
Mm-hmm.
22 the game before, 30, 16 before that, 20. It's a volatile situation. You look at Mozgov. Oh gosh, you got Scott in the chat going nuts.
He is starting, by the way.
Mozgov is?
It's already been announced, yeah.
19,
sure.
21, 25, 19. He hasn't cracked the 25-minute mark. Now, we've talked about how he does play more when the opposing team has a big center. So I do think that he will be in play more tonight against the T-Wolves. I just don't think you need to. If it's a GPP and you're looking for value, maybe.
But are you comfortable playing Bazemore or Stuckey at shooting guard?
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
No, if you're gonna play some elite players, you've got to look for matchups. That's why I really wish there'd be some last minute news that would come out that would Just let you
Oh
have.
man, if Lillard sits or just for some reason or something like that, dude, just like all of the Mo Williams. Like I know what you like. Obviously, it's not a thing, but like if it happened,
Yeah, don't say if Lillard sits. So Mozgov's player card, it looks like 12.5, 22, 25, 8, 20, 30, 22, 23. I mean, he's kind of there's just a lot of variants. Mr. Tuttle says shooting guard is trash on FanDuel. Shooting guard and small forward. I mean,
yeah, there's literally 2 positions on FanDuel where you don't want to play anybody. Like on a majority of nights, you're like, can I not? Like, it's really telling because like there's so little overlap between my DraftKings lineup and my FanDuel lineup. Like it's just crazy how little you want to play those guys.
Well, and Tuttle brings up the points of. Ooh, Sports 25 to Life says Fareed is still questionable.
He is.
There's some interesting value guys, though. I mean, like, Singler is a guy. I mean, he's not really a value guy. You could roll out Singler on FanDuel tonight if you want to.
Yeah.
Jeremy Evans is a guy on like, the outskirts who actually can have a decent game. If you're feeling risky, like 4-3, like he puts up like in that one. He'll have these really bad games. He get bad games against Cleveland and Portland. But besides that, he's over 15 fantasy points every game, and he's playing the Bucks, so that's not going to stop him. I mean, he's a guy I don't know. I'm not sure I have the balls to roll out, but I'm just saying, like, mathematically, Jeremy Evans might be a good value tonight against the Bucks at small forward.
Well, you're going to have to take some chances, and
is Evans a better chance than Mozgov? They're about the same price.
I think so because of
sense.
Positional value. Because all your studs are going to be at the power forward and center position tonight. So
and point guard.
Well, and point guard. But as far as like the shooting guard and small, I would much rather take a chance on a small forward so that I could play a big man with an elite matchup than play a big man with a potential value play so I could play a small forward or shooting guard. So
I like Heinrich tonight, though. I gotta tell you, Heinrich at 3.9 tonight's nice. He's playing well.
Nah.
You got the Davis wave. That means he does not.
He's playing good basketball. I watched this game.
No, I can't.
He's shooting well. He's shooting well. Like, the offense is flowing nicely.
Every Bulls fan in the world except for you hates Kirk Heinrich. Just like hates him.
I got his jersey.
I know you do.
Jersey. Like I'm a fan.
Fournier and Wilson Chandler both did well last game. Can that happen again? I think that you have to take into consideration tonight that it's going to be a little different with Lawson running the point.
I really don't think Fournier and Chandler can coexist. I think Chandler, if you guys play on Draft Street again, Chandler's available for like $7K. So like that's just a plug
price
and play
keeps
every
on
lineup.
going down.
Yeah, and it's really funny. Like once a week, they'll randomly price Fareed. He'll go from 12K to 8K just for like no reason. So that's always a nice night to play Fareed. But unfortunately, it's not tonight.
The ownership percentages, though, because apparently, I think Draft Street. You might have told me this, but Draft Street uses ownership percentages to determine their salaries, which is really cool.
That's what they tweeted. The Draft Street account tweeted that out to Dink, but I don't know if it's like
so
real.
they say.
I think it's a really cool concept. Like I've been thoroughly considering doing that with Elite. Like, I think if they do that, that's very innovative. I'm not sure if anyone else does it, but like
sometimes
like
it just
the
doesn't appear
concept of
that way. So I don't know. I don't know how much that factors into their pricing algorithm. As far as I want to talk about some of the elite matchups tonight, DeMarcus Cousins. I will go ahead and say that Saturday night I totally whiffed on DeMarcus Cousins because, and this is basically just not being prepared, not doing enough research. But for some reason, I still had in my head that like he was hurt and that's why he missed the last game instead of being suspended.
Who did they play?
Was it the?
Look, I have it right in front of me.
I don't remember.
No, I think it was the Timberwolves.
Either.
I think it was the Timberwolves.
Played against Minnesota.
Yeah. So, but he absolutely went nuts.
Minnesota.
Rudy Gay has been playing out of his mind.
Rudy Gay is an awesome player.
Rudy Gay can play.
I haven't read about him everywhere, but he's matched up on Tyreek, I think, right? Like, isn't that his matchup tonight? Like, that's like got to be like, of all the matchups, I was doing my research today. Of all the matchups that I thought about that one seems like the most mouthwatering to me. Everyone talking about Evans, and I think Rudy Gay on Evans is just is Rudy Gay really, is Evans really going to stop Rudy Gay?
I got a better one for you that we didn't talk about for some reason.
All right,
Ricky Rubio versus Denver with those bigs who just can't defend the pick and roll. Rubio has like if the game stays close, Rubio has like a floor of like 12 assists, I think. And Rubio's price tag everywhere is pretty sick. 7K on DraftKings, 6.6 on FanDuel. I haven't been over to DraftStreet yet today, so I'm not sure.
I think Rubio and Love's a nice GPP combo. Like, you know, if you want to try to max on the point, I think they could go off together tonight.
Yeah.
I mean, it's kind of like when you pair the quarterback and the receiver in football. Like, I think that they could go off tonight in tandem.
I'm just looking at like where the positional value is tonight. When we talk about this, like especially on sites, like you have to decide what you're going to do as far as where the value is. Like I think that's something that people don't take into account enough when they play DFS. They just see value and a value play and they roll them out there and then they try to configure the lineup. I think you have to take a look at the value plays out there and what the position is that really there is no value plays or there's too many value plays, and look to see kind of where that rolls tonight. Oh, tonight I think that going cheap at shooting guard and small forward, like most nights, is going to be the way to go. It's just a matter of
DeMar and Harden aren't playing, so there's not really a shooting guard where you're like, oh yeah, gotta go for it.
I like Wes Matthews tonight going up against this Lakers team. I have
him right now too.
I think for where his matchup is, he is going to be like. I really like him at that shooting guard spot where he's not going to cost an arm and a leg. You've got Evans. I don't mind Singler as a cheap play. Evans more of a GPP play. I don't think I'd be comfortable rolling him out.
Oh, dude, you got to get on this train.
No. I'm sorry.
Evans is going to be so heavily owned tonight.
Tyreek, yes. I was talking about Jeremy Evans.
Oh, Jeremy Evans. Jeremy Evans is like an interesting value play that someone who has a lot of balls is going to possibly get like a lot of money on. Because I think mathematically it's a really, really good play. But it feels awful. Like I'm not sure if I can pull the trigger tonight, but I really like it. Someone's got more guts than me and pull the trigger and make a lot of money on that.
All right, so you had Jordan Farmar, especially on DraftKings, where he's 4,300. Oh man, he would be a guy that you could plug in and would get you some salary cap relief at those big man positions.
And all those Laker guys can get like 40 fantasy points if they have the right game. But the problem is that you don't know which one you're going to predict, and especially tonight, if all those guys, a lot of guys do come back. Is Nick Young coming back tonight?
Nope, he's not going to be active. Dude, this whole thing's just making me so sad. He's not going to get any minutes when he gets back. They have like all these wing players.
No, stop it, Davis. So you have Booker, who is a value play big man. You talked about Mozgov, and Amare is at an interesting price tag. This is assuming that he starts tonight. So if you're looking at big men to go cheap on, for me, Booker is the safest out of those options.
He is safe, yeah.
Serafin's still questionable. Booker had a decent game against Philly. I know that's like anybody against Philly is.
It's worth noting that he sucks, though.
He could just get. I mean, as long as he can get rebounds, he's fine. He's okay. But you have Love, Aldridge, Cousins, Al Jeff, Anthony Davis, Carmelo. Out of those guys, like, who are the studs that you would want to spend on tonight, Davis? If you're clearing out salary cap room, like top three, who are your top three studs that you want to spend on?
Love, Melo, Aldridge.
Okay.
I like John Wall more than Aldridge tonight.
No! What? Against Memphis, dude?
I'm just saying, you know, he's played some easy matchups. This guy is like over 45 fantasy points in his last 3 games.
I think last time Wall played Memphis, he did go off, if I remember correctly, because it was a gross matchup. However, I don't like.
That's like you got to play the percentages though. Like that's not a percentage.
Oh
play.
yeah,
that's
I would rather play a big man with a great matchup than not. So,
but Aldridge is not playing as good a basketball right now, and John Wall is playing really, really good basketball right now.
It's
12.1 fantasy points versus Memphis last time.
How many?
12.1.
Okay, so maybe he did.
It was Beal. It was Beal that went off. Scott just typed that in the chat.
Oh, I thought it was like he went off or maybe someone was playing him that night. I just remember that it was a polarizing game, one way or the other. But
I'm just saying, like one of the games is going to be competitive, in which the star player might want to keep on his hot streak, which he's on. He's like going off right now, and we're not mentioning him because it's scary. But you have another game which the guy's not playing that well, and the game could be a blowout, and it could be on the bench in the fourth quarter. I'm just saying, I can make a very valid argument for why John Wall is a better play.
I think on the surface it's a fine argument. However, when you take into the other factors, like there's not a reason why you need to go. I mean, the reason why you would go Wall is because you were being contrarian, like in a GPP, and because you had like 2 studs and you were spending on the other position. You had 2 studs as far as the power forward center position that you were spending. Like if you played Booker and Mozgov, or if you played Booker and Amari and you wanted to go like John Wall. Like those are the situations where I say if you.
But you wouldn't want to do that. You'd want to go Lillard and Isaiah Thomas.
Well, I mean it's like a contrarian point of view. I mean I would say that Wall is going to be like less than 5% owned on most sites. So it's a very.
Jay Cannon's got me here. Apparently, he went absolutely. When was that? It was a year ago. He had 47 points, 8 assists, and 7 rebounds.
I'm not saying it's not a cash game play. It's not a play that you can make and say that it's like a good percentage play.
Probably not.
That's all I'm saying.
I can just tell you that if anyone's in the whatever whether it's the Cruising to Victory challenge, whatever the challenge is that's going on in Star Street that's starting tonight, I'll have a lineup in there, and there's a higher probability that I roll out Wall than Aldridge. I'm just saying. I don't know. Like if you want to track my own lineup, that's probably the higher probability move, but who knows? Like maybe
I'm the master of playing the guy who's like 3% owned. Like I do that all the time, but like I just wouldn't do that with Wall at this tag tonight.
I don't know if I'll play either.
Grant,
I haven't constructed that lineup yet, so it's hard to say.
Grant, look at me.
You want to watch me?
Look at me. Look at me.
What? I can't even see you. You're in the Skype conversation. It's like you're like just you behind the FI logo.
Now, can you see me?
Yeah, I can see you now.
Don't do it. Don't do this to yourself. There are too many other options. Like, if you're wanting to spend, I would rather go Lawson over Wall tonight, even with the injury risk. Lillard, Rubio, the guy that you mentioned earlier, I think Rubio has more fantasy points than John Wall tonight.
I like Rubio.
I love Rubio tonight. I think I'm having a hard time trying to decide between him and Lawson, really.
It all depends on how much you want to spend at that. For me, at that center position, do you want to go Cousins or do you want to go Robin Lopez?
Well, I'm looking at Draft Street right now, and I have Cousins in, and I have a roster I really like, but I don't have Love, Anthony Davis, or LaMarcus Aldridge in, which is kind of terrifying.
So you are loveless tonight.
I'm loveless, Bray. There's a good question for you. Anthony Davis coming off like a really bad game against Cousins, or LaMarcus Aldridge in what is likely going to be just 3 quarters of play?
So
that's a question a lot of people will have tonight.
And then we're talking about straight up again, right? Like not salary involved.
They're almost the same price everywhere. They're like literally.
So yeah, I mean, so in that case, I don't know. Like, I try to skate to where the puck's gonna be, so I don't always look at that. This is not the first time Anthony Davis has gotten in foul trouble. Like this has happened before. Yeah, he's come back and played fine. So this is like we're not talking about some new trend. This is a risk you're taking with Davis every night. And I don't think the risk is any lower or higher.
Cousins draws like the most fouls per 36 of like any player in the NBA, though.
Yeah, and when you can avoid players with like bad defensive matchups, it's okay. Like you look at what Anthony Davis, and this is like Scott, correct me if I'm wrong. Anthony Davis against DeMarcus Cousins the first time they played this season was absolutely terrible.
And Cousins like went to town.
Yeah. They weren't guarding each other though. For the past 2 games, for the majority of the time they weren't guarding each other.
Yeah, they don't play the same position.
Yeah. Tonight you've got, how do you say Ajinka's last name?
I think that's right.
No, it's not. It's some other. I think there's like
Ajinka?
No, it's like an S, like a Sinka, maybe. I forget. Someone in the chat, tell us how to pronounce that last name. So you've got Anthony Davis, and looking at his game logs against the Kings, we're talking about 28.55 draft streak points. Like that's not good. He's such a he would be the definition of a GPP play tonight, because I don't think a lot of people are going to be on. I would much rather go Cousins.
Yeah, absolutely. It's a good GPP play though if you're putting multiple lineups in, because his upside's higher. It's just that he has a really low floor. Like that's the issue. I couldn't roll him out in a cash game.
I've got 8 people saying that it is Ajinsa, so that's what it is. I knew that it wasn't Ajinka, because I heard it the other night. I was like, "Oh man, I've been saying it wrong." And it wasn't
when
even
do you care about pronouncing shit incorrectly, though?
Well, I mean, it wasn't even like a joke. Like sometimes we joke about like Duran or Amini or who's the other one?
Tobias, man.
Tobias, yeah.
Tobias is just fun to say. That's how I type it in GChat. I always just say Tobias.
So, but this wasn't a situation like that. So I want to make sure that yes, Cowie.
Oh, Cowie. Yeah.
Cowie's the other one. I'm sure people that tune in for the first time just think that we're absolute idiots, but whatever. What are you gonna do?
Well, I mean, look at us.
Oh yes. As far as some other big men contrarian plays, Andre Drummond might be that big man contrarian play. I don't think
centers against the Knicks.
What's that?
Noah tore it up against the Knicks yesterday. That's the only. I was going to mention Drummond only because Noah yesterday just.
Yeah.
But those two could not play basketball any more differently, though.
And so did the Hawks. The Hawks had a field day against the big man for the Knicks. So this isn't the past week. You're talking about.
No, they were just playing really, really bad defense everywhere yesterday. Like, it was just really ugly. They were playing such ugly. The kind of basketball the Knicks were playing yesterday is the kind of basketball that Andre Drummond can put up random stats in. Like, he's just kind of like, whenever I've watched Drummond, it's not all the time, because I admittedly don't turn on Detroit Pistons games all the time. I work hard, and I like to go home and relax and watch things that I find enjoyable, and the Pistons aren't one of them. But that being said, when I have watched Detroit Pistons basketball, like, Andre Drummond seems like a guy out there with absolutely no plan that picks up a bunch of stats because he's very athletic. And I think against the Knicks, with the way they played yesterday on a back-to-back, it could be a night where Andre Drummond picks up a bunch of stats because he's athletic. And the ball's flying all over the place, and he's getting junk steals and blocks, and I don't know. This could be a night for him as far as, like, going contrarian.
Scott was talking about how the Knicks went zone yesterday and maybe do the same tonight, which bodes well for whoever is playing.
Brandon Jennings is in my cash lineup on draft street.
That's what the guy I was gonna bring up. Like, he is. Oh gosh.
He sucks, man. He sucks.
You just have to hope that he's if he is having a good shooting night, his game is totally different than if he's missing. If he's missing, he is so frustrating because he's not even looking to drive.
Bro, he got that gunner heart. He's just gonna keep shooting.
He's not a very good basketball player. You are right.
No, he's awful at every aspect of basketball.
I think it would be a good trade, although it wouldn't do good in the long term. But I think that the Lakers should have traded Nash for Jennings at the deadline because he's got less years in his contract left. Like, I think that Jennings on the Lakers would be entertaining to watch. That would be great for the fans. But
I mean, any point guard for Nash puts up numbers. or for D'Antoni.
You'd be a great fantasy player, just for fantasy purposes. But I was just thinking about, this is not totally related, but you think Brandon Knight's a better player than Jennings? I think it might have turned out that the Pistons traded a better player.
I think both teams lost that trade.
How?
Because they decided that they were gonna stand pat with Brandon Jennings and Brandon Knight. Like, wouldn't the team be better off letting Stuckey or Bynum run point and saving that money? Wouldn't the Pistons view it or off? They'd probably be a better team.
I mean, you're talking about the Pistons who chose to.
Are the Bucks better off without
Smith.
Brandon Knight though? I mean, he's a decent player. He's like one of their only good players right now.
That's a liberal use of the word good. I bet his win shares per 48 are worse than Steven Adams.
Do you have your laptop on a pogo stick, Davis?
No, I just moved it real quick.
Oh.
Did my camera?
It was
bounce?
definitely like bouncing up and down. As far as the Bucks go, we haven't talked about the Bucks in depth yet. Brandon Knight is in play if you want to roll that way. Giannis, another guy who, if you're going cheap at the shooting guard or small forward position and want to take a flyer, not going to be in any of my cash games. Those are the only two Bucks that I'm looking at tonight. There's your in-depth look at the Bucks. Can we move on, please?
Brandon Knight's a guy who would be in
Airson, bro. Get that Airson.
No, not Airson. Not Airson. Don't you even dare. Derek Favors, though, going up against Milwaukee and Cantor. Both those guys have favorable matchups.
Oh, worst.
Favors? Get it?
No, you explain to me, Dave?
Later, after the show. Favors, though, is another guy who we haven't talked a lot about, but going up against this Milwaukee front court, he certainly is in play on a few sites. Davis, agree or disagree?
I have him in. I have him in two sites. I have him in on DraftKings and Draft Street right now.
Really?
Yeah.
So he is in play for you.
Yeah, I mean, it's the matchup, right? Like, it's the Bucks. They now have the worst defense per 100 possessions in the league. I was checking stuff out last night. I know I like to do that on Sundays after stuff changes. They now have the worst defense in the league. And without Larry Sanders, they don't even have one rim protector. Not one.
Yeah, they're pretty bad. Favors last game, 38 points in 31 minutes against the Pacers. So that was last night. Before that, played 32 minutes against Cleveland, only had 22.5. The two previous games before that, where he returned from injury, 30.5 and 32.25. So I look at his game logs, and the bottom line is the past two games, he has been getting minutes. This is going to be his third game in 4 nights, though. Certainly, maybe something you want to consider. Still, with the matchup, you know he's going to get over 30 minutes. He's in play because his salary hasn't crept up to what he's capable of doing against this Bucks team. So I would agree with you, Davis. Somebody asked about Wes Johnson with Xavier Henry back. Grant, we talked about how thin that small forward position is. Oh, it was Christian Hardy that asked it. Your thoughts on Wes Johnson tonight?
He's a guy I could find myself rolling out. Today.
Even with everybody healthy, like
before I knew that Xavier Henry was back, I thought he was in play for 11.9 on Draft Street. Like, I really like him in this matchup, but with Henry back, I don't think he's a tournament play now.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. He's not. I've mentioned other plays at small forward that I like, but that's the kind of guy I could see. He's definitely, if I put him in my lineup tonight, he's gonna be the last guy in. I can tell you for a fact, like, he's not a guy that I'm targeting, but if the salary cap works out in a way where I fit him,
he's going to be the last piece.
He could be the last piece for me. I don't think that I'm not waking up today looking to play Wes Johnson, but his numbers in the last few games are good. So it is the kind of guy that I could look at his game log, see what I have left, and say, hey, why not? Let's go for it. So we'll see.
Those are actually the plays that win people like tournaments. That last play.
Oh, absolutely.
That last piece that you're just trying to find just to be under the salary cap. that just randomly goes off. Those are the players that kind of win people tournaments. So,
By the
Those are
way,
the best. Those are the
by the
best.
way, Steven Adams more than doubles Brandon Knight's win shares per 38 for what it's worth. Brandon Knight sucks.
I was thoroughly frustrated the first half with Steven Adams yesterday. More frustrated than the last time I took him. But
For
he did
5K on DS, man.
Yeah,
that
he
great.
did. He ended up being okay. So
He hit it for value.
I admittedly, David, have also watched like no Bucks basketball besides their games against the Bulls.
He's got great raw stats, dude. He averages like 18 points a game, and he has a crazy high usage rate, which is why his win shares are down because he turns the ball over a lot because his teammates suck.
Yeah, I know. I mean, he's been a moneymaker for me in fantasy though, because his point stats are consistent right now. So that's what I always like. That's always a trap for me. If there's players that are doing really well for me in fantasy, like trying to distinguish between that and them being good players, and then also on the reverse side, really good players that aren't good in fantasy.
Nick Batum, man. Nick Batum isn't a guy I would want on my team, but I hate to take him in dailies.
that's how I am with Al Jefferson.
Yep. Except he sucks in real life, dude. He's like a really bad player.
Who is?
Jefferson. He sucks on defense and uses a monstrous usage rate.
I think
He's like a worse version of Carmelo.
Okay, I think you're carrying it a bit too far with the word sucks. I don't think he sucks.
No, he doesn't suck. He could never be more than a third option on a finals team, though.
All right, let's take a look at our sponsor, Draft Day, the rapid fire that they have going on. You go to draftday.com, click on the Games tab, and then the rapid fire. Scott did mention that I'm starting to get into his head. So I think it was Friday, either Davis, you, or Dave. Maybe it's Dave. That told me that I was thinking too much about the matchups.
It was Dave.
Yeah, and you have to get inside the head of Scott to really figure out how these are going to end up. So, DeMarcus Cousins versus Carmelo is the first matchup.
Oh man, I'm gonna let Grant answer that.
That's a tough matchup.
Those are two of my favorite players.
It's also funny because you don't. I haven't had to think about picking them against each other because they play different positions. I've not been put in the position in any case today, making a lineup, thinking about these guys, one or the other. But I'll go with Carmelo, but I don't know. That's a tough matchup. Very little confidence, Carmelo.
I'll go with DeMarcus. I think
I'm gonna go DeMarcus too.
Both guys are good plays, but if I'm spending tonight, I'm going to spend on DeMarcus over Melo. Rudy Gay versus LMA. I think this is LMA all day.
Yep.
I'm going on the opposite side and saying Rudy Gay. It's a trap, and I think Gay has a monster game against New Orleans.
Yeah.
I think you're underestimating him, and I think that I don't like Aldridge as much as you guys do. I could be proven wrong, but I really like Gay tonight, and I'm going to go in that direction.
Rudy Gay he needs to get some tattoos and some swag, man. He needs to embrace the gunner the way that JR and Swags have. He's so close to being an all-time great swag member, but he just needs to get some personality.
And I bet you Scott agrees with me. Because if you put a guy in there who's 8 fantasy, when your average, this is supposed to be a casual game. You want to get inside Scott's head. It's a casual game. You put a guy who's 8 fantasy points per game lower with the casual person picking it. You've got to be very, very confident that the other guy is going to be the guy who's going to pull through. So I have to think that Scott is on board with my Rudy Gay opinion.
It's a double booby trap is what it is. Because you have him thinking that you're going to look at the matchup and say, oh, well, Gay versus Aldridge, Scott must want me to take Gay because it's too easy of a matchup. But really, he already knows that you're going to be thinking that, and so it's a double booby trap. So,
I don't know. I just think that Rudy Gay's got a really good matchup. He's not a guy in the things I'm reading this morning that are I haven't seen Rudy Gay get hyped up that much on Twitter. It's Evans that's getting hyped up, not Rudy Gay. I think Rudy Gay's got a stellar matchup there.
Well, that's because Gay's price is up, but I mean, certainly Gay doesn't have the 2 risk factors of blowout and injury that Ella May has tonight. So that's why I think he's in there, is because Scott likes to introduce the element of risk. But it's LaMarcus. LaMarcus has a great matchup, and you want to play him. Just like you want to play Al Jefferson over Smooth tonight. Agree or disagree?
Al Jefferson over Smooth for sure.
Yeah.
I'm on Jefferson, but like Josh Smith for the salary tonight over Jefferson. But Jefferson.
I mean, New York does play really small a lot of the times. Like, that is a thing, but I mean, it's Josh Smith.
I'm guessing that Josh Smith actually is higher in salary than Al Jeff without looking at it. Lillard versus Isaiah Thomas.
Trillard.
This is a tough one, I think.
It is tough, but I just think that if
Yeah.
this game stays close, like, Lillard will just go to town.
I'm going to go with Lillard because I have a feeling that this is going to be Rudy Gay's night for the Kings.
I'm gonna go make a tournament lineup with Rudy Gay in it. Like, I don't have him anywhere now, but I'm about to.
Good, so that way if he has terrible, then it's my Twitter that you get to go complain to.
Nah, dude, I've been getting a little bit better about complaining, like a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. The last matchup,
Rudy
Booker.
Gay is a guy who can go ballistic tonight. Like there's an outside chance that he just goes nuts.
All right, no more gay love. No more gay love tonight. Booker versus Bazemore.
Booker, just because I think Bazemore plays like 20 minutes tonight. Like, with all those wings healthy.
Yeah. I would go Booker too. Grant? Just give me an answer, Grant. Just give me an answer.
I'm going to go with Bazemore. You know what? What the hell? It's been my pick 5 all day.
Oh, man.
I'm going to go contrarian the whole thing.
Yeah, Grant, your picks are adept to the rapid fire max tonight. Because
No.
Have you guys done the rapid fire max yet?
no.
Yeah.
Let me look at it.
As far as questions, someone asked in the chat, Gay or Gasol? Davis, you answered Gay, and I fully agree with that. And I'm guessing that Grant, with his gay love that he has tonight, is going to agree with it too.
Yeah.
You telling me that you didn't like Gasol, and like I've changed around all my rosters on every site throughout the course of the show because I had Gasol in like every lineup.
He has a safe floor, but his ceiling just has not been high at all.
I'd rather play Aldridge. You're
Can
right.
you explain how Joe Blanton made it into our chat?
Okay, Kyle is like just talking about Kershaw, Blanton. He is excited for MLB to start.
Joe Blanton, like I used to watch him with the A's. He's still
I'm getting to the point to where I'm excited for baseball DFS too, man. Like, I'm excited to see some in-play parentheses runs. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying? When that little parentheses with the S, bro, everybody loves that.
Farmar, LMA, Rolo, that's Robin Lopez, or IT2, Booker, and Boogie. Davis, you took IT2, Booker, and Boogie. I definitely think that is the cash game. I would say the other one would be the GPP play. I think the Farmar being... I'm guessing that Kyle's talking about DraftKings here. So Farmar and Lopez would allow you to play Aldridge. But I don't see how that's like even in the same...
Yes. I want to let Chelly know that you can pull the Heinrich maneuver tonight. That's okay. You can go there. You can do it.
All right.
Play like Livingston or Farmar.
Do you think,
instead.
Grant, do you think that Heinrich has 20 FanDuel points tonight?
20. All right. So he would need like 10 points, like 5 assists. You know what? Screw it. Kirk Heinrich can get 20 FanDuel points tonight.
Because that's what he needs for value basically tonight.
He can get 20. He's $300 starting for the Bulls. He actually got more minutes last game. It is a back-to-back. Maybe they try to get him some time off. I don't think Jimmer becomes a factor yet.
Oh, man. Oh, Jimmer is going to come in and hit like 4 threes tonight.
I would love it.
Lock.
I would love it.
Lock.
I love when
Jimmer scored, though. Jimmer scored last night. It was really funny. That wasn't last night. It was in the middle of the day. But it was great. DJ Augustin did not want to give him the ball. DJ Augustin knows it's going to hurt his minutes. He was not wanting to give Jimmer the ball, but Jimmer still got the ball, and he made a shot, and everyone got excited. And also, he almost had the most awesome part of the Bulls season. Tonke Shingelia almost got an assist point to Eric Murphy, who might be the 2 worst players in the NBA, but it didn't happen because Eric Murphy missed the shot. If you watched either of those guys, they are so bad.
How do you say Shingalia? I always call him Tomika Shingalia. How do you say his name?
I think it's Tonke Shingelia. I'm pretty sure. I'm not 100%. He's so bad.
Oh,
he wants to be good. He tries to drive the lane. When they bring those guys in garbage time, the only reason that guy's in the NBA is because the Bulls want to stay under the luxury tax. He's cheap, and they need to keep him on the roster. Same with Murphy. They have no business being in the NBA. They're so bad. Like, those two guys do not deserve to be playing professional basketball. They better get the $450,000 into a savings account. Understand that the best thing that's ever going to happen to them is going back to Europe or going to Europe next year, and that they just need to be appreciative over their time in the NBA. Because Eric Murphy is like the worst player I've ever seen in basketball.
I cannot believe we're talking about Shingelia and Murphy on this show. But, I mean, I guess
if you want the ultimate punt, that is the ultimate punt.
No, get out of here.
No.
They will not score points. It's not a point. You will get 0 points. That is punting. You will not score. If you want to get...
I played Toko the last game of the last night of the season last year when the Nets had just like nobody active. I played him.
How'd that go for you?
I think it went fine. I don't know. Laffy told me to play him.
My name is Davis Maddock, and I played Tonke Shingelia in a DFS lineup. That's
Right.
when you know you've had you've gone deep, is when you've played Shingelia. I mean, I played Shannon Brown, but that's worse.
Oh yeah.
Just-
Oh yeah. Let's not even talk about your Shannon Brown love earlier. Last question before we end the show. On a high note, like our buddy OH and Jay-Z, my man with Star Street there. But he's Shims3 asks Cousins and Booker or Rolo and Favors for FanDuel cash games tonight.
Rolo and Favors. I like that pairing. I think that that's a good value pairing given the matchups tonight.
Davis?
I completely was not paying attention.
Cousins and Booker or Rolo and Favors.
Oh, Rolo and Favors.
Yeah, I think
that's what I have.
I think that's the cash game. Yeah, I think that's the cash game lineup you went. Rolo was good for FanDuel owners on Saturday, and I think he'll be good again tonight. Our buddy Brian Sell asks, cash game, utility spot, Hayward or Zebo. Davis, you said neither. Take Rubio. Yeah, both those guys. I guess Hayward would have the...
Hayward's like, okay.
I mean, Zach coming off a pretty strong game last night. It just matters where his price tag is. If I'm having to play either of those guys, you got Hayward coming off a near triple-double or Zebo against... I guess it would go Zebo against the Wizards.
I'm not doing that Hayward thing anymore.
Yeah, Hayward has definitely screwed me a few times.
No, it's not happening again.
Probably shouldn't have said it like that.
Never again. That's one of mine. I'm not going to do it again. I already tried that. Been there, done that. No.
All right, fair enough. All right, Grant with Fanium and Fantasy Elite. They have a really cool promotion. If you go to bonus.fantasｙelite.com, where they're giving away potential iPads with large deposits of over $1,000, or iOS devices with large deposits over $1,000.
Yeah, and let me let you know I'm helping you here, Dave. If you do go do that right now, please let me know you found it through this show. Just do them a favor and let me know. Say, hey,
you're too
I know.
kind. It is.
Yeah,
I mean. It
just
is one of the...
Message me something. It helps these kind of shows keep happening. So just message me, say I found it through the show, and you're really helping everybody. So just giving you.
It is a pretty awesome deposit bonus. There's been nothing like it. Grant writes... not Grant. Davis writes the Insiders article for us. He also is a Tinder champ, as you can see.
I do not have a Tinder anymore.
Yeah, right.
I absolutely do not.
I'm yelling Tinder, but you can find his daily Fantasy Pulse article on fantasyinsiders.com, and you can always reach out to him on Twitter. And if you're not following him on Twitter, you need to, because Davis Maddock rants are good. I mean, they are the things that lighten the mood. If you're ever in a dark place, his rants will always lighten the mood. So that will do it for today's show.
Hashtag Doran Lamb at Cash Games.
Join us tomorrow where Davis will be on the show again, and we'll actually have our buddy Napster Man on here. So Nap has been gone for the past 3 weeks, but he will be on the show tomorrow, and should be a fun show. 3:30 Eastern, and that is the Insiders TV
Ah, love this song.
Sponsored by Draft Day. Thanks again, guys, and we'll see you tomorrow.
Hey, Dave.